endless skies. Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive,
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Nomads 50 Plus. My name is Chris Kalaboukis, and it's my current mission to interview 1,000 digital nomads. That's right, folks, 1,000 digital nomads, and how awesome it is to live that life and try to help inspire you to jump into it. And today we've got a very special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little about your story?
Hi there. My name is Jillian Amatt. I am part of a duo. I have a partner, Chris, and we've been traveling
Great
full
name,
time.
by the way. Excellent, excellent name.
Yeah, that helped to remember your name. Yeah, we've been traveling full time since 2017,
Nice.
October 2017, so 8 years now. And yeah, we started. I mean, do you want me to tell about how the idea came up, or
Yeah. How did you get into it? What made you want to do it?
Sure. So the catalyst was watching the Minimalism documentary.
Ooh,
And
I think that's done it for a bunch of people
yes,
who are
yeah,
jumping into this. Yeah,
yeah. There's
excellent.
a couple of people on Substack for sure. I've heard about that, and other people as well. Yeah. So, yeah. So I was watching that, and my partner Chris had never really traveled before he met me, and we went to a trip in 2015. We went on a 2-week holiday with my parents for my dad's 70th birthday, I believe, to Mexico, and he
Nice.
really enjoyed his time there. And so we sort of thought, okay, he liked traveling, and I traveled a lot in my childhood. My parents took me traveling, and I did a lot in my 20s, but somehow in my 30s I kind of fell off the bandwagon and didn't go traveling. And in fact, I had a whole passport, a brand new passport with not one stamp in it. And I was pretty
Wow,
horrified when I
that is
realized that.
terrible.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, I have to get traveling again. And Chris really wanted to go anywhere, basically. And so we had this fantasy. We met on a ski hill. So we had this fantasy about skiing in another country. And so we started
Nice.
researching good places to ski. And that brought us over to Bulgaria, of all
Hmm.
places.
But wait a minute. Bulgaria is a good place to ski. It doesn't seem like
Yes.
to be on the top of the list of ski places.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know. It's definitely not on the top, but it's actually got really good terrain. Unfortunately, when we were there, the weather wasn't cooperating and it was
uh,
raining on the ski hill. But it had an amazing hill, and the prices were really affordable, which was also a nice bonus. And kind of put us in a corner of the world. Like, we wanted to go to Greece and Italy as well. So we sort of made a 6-week trip out of that. So that was
nice. How were you
yeah,
able
that
to
was
do
the
that? I mean, were you both working full time, or how did you get it for 6 weeks?
we have
6 weeks
we had
off.
our own businesses. So had a landscaping company, and I was a house painter. And so yeah, we were able to just schedule. I mean, winter's sort of the slow time anyways, so we were able to schedule that. And we did woofing in Greece. So we stayed on an island in Greece and did farm work for 2 weeks in exchange for our food and
Oh, nice.
accommodation.
Which island?
Paros.
Oh, I love Paros.
Yeah, it was great. And then we were in Italy. We visited a friend in Italy, and stayed with her as well. So we sort of did, a few things to sort of make the trip a little bit more affordable, for sure. But anyways, had a really great time. So that was over Christmas and New Year's 2015 to 2016. So we came back in January of 2016, and that was kind of when we had gotten back, and I thought, okay, we've done this now. I need to get traveling again, and we just need to figure out ways to make this work. And so a whole year went by, and fast forward to January 2017, and I was sitting in my office, and we were, lamenting the fact that we hadn't gone traveling and we couldn't afford it, and how are we ever going to make this work, and this kind of thing. And I went into my office, and actually I had a little art studio set up. And I was doing some art, and I thought, I'm just going to put this documentary on the side, and started listening to the Minimalist documentary. And something in that documentary, I'm not even sure when it happened or what the line was or whatever. I just had this lightning bolt moment of like, oh my God, if I didn't have this house full of all this stuff, I could afford to travel.
Yes.
And I suddenly started looking around the room at all the things on the shelf and looking at it and thinking, I don't even know what this stuff is. I don't even know why I
Oh my
have
God,
it.
I do that every day. I do that every day.
Everything just became meaningless in that moment. And so I went out to the living room, and there wasn't tensions, but we were sort of in a bit of a bum mood. I mean, winter on the West Coast, especially in January, is a difficult one because the clouds, and it's gray and it's raining, and we were cold and miserable and all these things. And so
Where are you located?
we were in Powell River, BC. So
Oh, you're in
facing
BC.
Vancouver
I thought I
Island.
heard a Canadian accent in there somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
I'm
yeah.
originally
So
from
I.
Toronto, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
originally Canadian too. So,
Nice. Where are you now?
I'm in San Jose,
Okay.
California, for the
Oh yeah,
moment.
we're a little bit warmer. You'll notice my jacket. I'm indoors right now and I'm cold.
Yeah,
This is what happens in Canada. Anyway,
I
so
remember that. Yep.
we yeah, so I sat down. I came out of the office and I had this, it was basically by the time I had finished the documentary and left that office, I was resolute. Like, we need to get rid of all this crap. We need
Wow.
to sell everything if we want to travel. And I think I'd always wanted to try traveling full time, like, even as a young person, but I sort of got wrapped into the, like, you're supposed to own a house and you have to do this and you build a career and all these things. Right. So it was always sort of a wrestling match of how do I do that and travel and travel the way I want to. I was never really satisfied with 2 and 3 week holidays. I always wanted, like in my 20s, my ex-husband and I used to go away for 4 months in the winter. And so we'd like work for
Nice.
8 months.
That
And then,
now that's traveling. That's
yes.
absolutely
And
traveling.
in your 20s, when you're sort of footloose and fancy free, it seemed like it was easy to do. But then somehow in your 30s, it wasn't anymore.
Yeah.
And especially not in your 40s, especially trying to be, part of society.
Right.
So yeah, so I just said, I sat down on the couch. I said, can we talk? And he was just like, oh boy, sure. What now kind of thing. And I just said, I was just watching this documentary and I just think that if we want to travel and we want to travel a lot, we need to like get rid of this house and get rid of all of our things and just, be nomads. And,
Nice.
and he sort of like, he just looked at me and was just like, but what about all the plants we planted in the backyard? Because we had built this beautiful garden over 4 years.
Yeah.
And prior to meeting me, he had carted plants around for 7 years in pots, waiting for the perfect place to plant them. And so he finally had planted them at my place in the backyard. So I said, oh, there'll be plants all over the world, and we were kind of thinking about the tropics and how many plants and how abundant it is and all this kind of thing. And then he said, well, okay, what about my tattoo shop? Because he had just opened a tattoo shop, a year earlier.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It was just kind of,
you guys are putting down roots. Look out.
I know. Terrible, really, when I think about it. Anyway, he, and I just said, oh, you can tattoo anywhere in the world. Just bring your stuff with you, this kind of thing.
True.
So yeah. And so he just sort of thought about it for about 10 minutes. He said, yeah, you know what? You're right. Let's just do this. It'll be awesome.
10 minutes. I love it.
Yeah. So I think,
it's true.
That's
both of your skill sets are totally portable. You can take them with you anywhere you go. I love that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that was a testament, I think, to how right it was right from the beginning. And he had also, I was trying to pretend like I was living a stable, static life, but even in Powell River, I was there for 11 years and I probably moved 6 times, different parts of the town and, constantly bouncing around from place to place to place. And then he was the same. He was on Vancouver Island, but had lived in numerous different places over the past 10 years or something. So in a sense, neither of us have really been super, super stable in anywhere for super long time. So I think it suits us well. So yeah, so that was the beginning. And at first we just thought, it'll take us a year or 2 years to get rid of everything. And we're not going to rush it. We're just going to, take it slow. And in April of that, so that was January 2017. In April, I signed up for a website called housecarers.com. And it's like Trusted House Sitters. It's the same thing, but it's a different platform. And I thought, I'm just going to sign up. I'm just going to put my profile up and, we'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of opportunities come up. And right away, there was one in Peru, which looked really cool, but it was too soon. And, I was kind of keeping my eye on opportunities. And then a lady messaged us, I think not even a month later, and said, I have a house we have a house in Costa Rica. They were Americans, but they had a house in Costa Rica right on the beach. They needed us from September to December, like the last 4 months of the year.
Oh, how horrible.
Yeah. But at the same time, we were like, okay, we have summer jobs. Like we both had our summer clients lined up, right? And we had this house that we were living in, I owned it, but we had torn down some walls and started renovations and never finished them. So it was like, we have to finish renovating the house. We have to like do all of our jobs. Like, I don't think there's any way we're going to get all that done by September. So I wrote her back and she said, well, sometimes in the past I get, one set of house sitters for the first 2 months and then another set for the second 2 months. Would you be willing to come in November? And I
Nice.
thought about it for a bit and I thought, yeah, we could probably swing that. And so that just like sent us into high gear, and we just went and we were just busting it, trying to get rid of stuff and figuring out like shutting down our businesses and finishing the renovations. And we just went crazy for like 9 months. And then we flew to
Wow.
Costa Rica in October.
Fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
And so what about your family? Like when you did you ever like to tell your family, hey, we're going to do this? And what was the reaction?
Yeah, they were, I mean, my mom basically said to me, you're young enough that well, I didn't have children, there wasn't anything really tying us to Canada at the time.
Mm,
And so, she said, go for it. Like, why not? You're young, just go, have an experience kind of thing. But I think
that's
in
awesome.
looking back, I think she kind of thought like, whatever, just get this out of your system for a couple of years and then like, settle down again and get real. Right?
Little did she
'Cause these
realize
days-
what was happening.
yeah, these days she's just like, when are you going to settle down again? So yeah, but Chris's family was pretty excited. I mean, we didn't really face a lot of resistance. There was certainly, friends and neighbors and people would ask a lot of questions and,
Sure.
and make suggestions like, you should probably just keep your house and rent it out and like this kind of thing. But we just had this one-way vision, and we were just going and leaving, and we had no
Yeah.
desire to come back. So
But if
yeah,
you
we
kept your
just-
house and you rented it, you'd have to continuously worry about it.
Exactly. And I was like, I don't want to be in the South Pacific when my water heater breaks or something,
Exactly. And your
No.
tenants are calling, or your property management company is going, what do we do? What do we do?
Yeah,
Like, here's the
yeah.
$7,500 or $7,000. It's like
Yeah.
you don't want that burden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Very cool.
Mhm.
So you got rid of all your stuff, and then you sold your house that before you left for Costa Rica, or later?
No, we sold it. We also sold it. So it was in July, and my dad started calling saying, you better get this house on the market. You're not going to get rid of it soon enough. And
That's right.
I said, no, it's all going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. We're not done renovating. I'm not listing it until we're finished, And finally, I think we finished like August 5th or 6th. It was
Ooh,
like sort of the
little
final
late.
paintbrush stroke. And I was like, okay, we're listing it. And it sold before it even hit the MLS that day.
Wow.
For
Nice.
5,000 over our asking price. And the asking price was already stretching it. All the realtors told me there's no way we're going to get that price. But the thing that really sold it was the garden, actually. Yeah.
See, you were preparing for this all along. You didn't even
Yeah.
realize it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So this family bought it right away, and we closed the deal, I think September 20th or something. And we drove out of town on like the 22nd or 23rd.
Wow.
Something like that. Yeah.
Did you ever have a moment like as you were going, like leaving or walking through the house when it was empty or anything like that, kind of regretting what you were about to do, or were you excited?
I mean, at that point when the house was like, when we were selling the house, I was excited, but definitely leading up to it, there was moments of, what are we doing? Is this crazy? Like, what if we get to Peru and we have nothing and I'm sad and depressed and all these things, and Chris always would talk me down and just say, no, everything will be fine. And I was very glad to have his reassuring support for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then you went to Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
And then how long were you in Costa Rica for?
Yeah, so we did the 2 months house sitting on the beach, so November, December, and then we actually got a guy 2 doors down. He ended up having to leave his property for multiple months, and he had 3 dogs that needed to be taken care of. And so he said, when you're done with that house sit, can you come take care of my place?
Nice.
And that was an open-ended proposition. We could have been there for quite a long time, I think, but we, after 2 months of being there, and also he had cabina rentals, so he also split the money, whatever we brought in from his cabina rentals, we split in half. So we also actually made money on the side right away, which was kind of exciting. But yeah, after about 2.5 months of being there, well, we had been in the community for 4.5 months, and things just started happening. Like there started to be rumors about us, and like all these little weird things were happening, right? And I kind of thought, you know what, we're supposed to be traveling. We're not supposed to be sitting in one place.
You outlived your
yeah.
welcome for a bit.
Welcome or whatever. Yeah, it's like as soon as you start to become part of the rumor mill, it's time to leave.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say. Is like once you get to a point, there's like a certain point where once you're in the community, like you're visitors, but then there's a certain point you kind of transfer into sort of people who live there, and then there's like this transition, and they treat you completely differently between a visitor and a resident. It's crazy. I mean, I see this happening in Greece. There's a friend of mine who goes to Greece all the time, and he goes like, there's a certain time frame. I don't know, it's 2 weeks, a month, or something like that, And it always happens. There's like they treat you a certain way one day, and then the next day they're like, oh, this person's always around. I got to treat them differently. It's weird.
Right. Yeah. It's like they just get sick of seeing you or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, I just said, we're supposed to be traveling. Maybe we should like make some plans to get out of here. And so we actually volunteered at a music festival just down the road from where we were taking care of the second place. And that's kind of a crazy magical story because this other couple from the same town that we're from happened to be traveling through
No
Costa
way.
Rica, and were
Cool.
able to like step in and do the house sitting for us while we were gone for 5 days.
I love it.
Crazy. Anyway, so yeah, we met a girl there, and she had a friend in Nicaragua who was building an earth bag construction house, and she needed like volunteers to come and help, and she was providing food and all that kind of stuff. And so we sort of made plans to go start helping her, and in the meantime, applied for a few more house sitting jobs. We got one in Nicaragua and then one in Guatemala later that year, and then yeah, things just
Wow,
kept
that's
going from
fantastic.
there.
And you just like one thing just led to another.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
great.
much.
And
Yeah.
the people who you met on the way helped you find new places.
Yep. Yeah. It seems that the more people we meet and the more connections we make, the more things line up and work out. And yeah.
I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. So what were you doing when you were in Costa Rica? Were you just house sitting, or did you actually do some work too, or were you just...
Yeah, well, we were just house sitting. So Chris had his tattoo gear with him. He did a little bit of tattooing, and I started. Well, I sort of continued. I had an Etsy shop that I had started in 2009, I think. So like way back when they just first started. I think there was only 15,000 Etsy shops at the time,
Mhm.
and I regret not really keeping it going because it was hard to get it going again. But I started print on demand clothing.
Oh,
shop.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of like after about 2 weeks of sitting on the beach doing nothing, I couldn't stand it anymore. I was like, hey, I have to do something, and we didn't have a ton of money. So it was like, we better start to figure out this financial situation before.
And that's a perfect
Right.
business to start because it's also transferable. You don't necessarily like, it's not like you're at a sewing machine sewing stuff and shipping it from wherever you happen to be.
Exactly.
It's coming from, wherever you are. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And you don't have to have inventory or anything upfront. And yeah, it's really a brilliant business model for this lifestyle for sure.
Nice. And then you went from there to Nicaragua. And then how long were you in Nicaragua for?
So we were there for probably about 3 months, maybe. I'm trying to remember the exact dates. We were supposed to house sit for 4 months. However, civil war broke out while we were there. This was in 2018.
Yikes.
Yeah, and we toughed it out as long as we could. And the owners of the place we were house sitting are actually from Canada. And they basically said before they left the country, like there was already a bit of instability. And before they left, they just said, do what you can. We weren't taking care of animals there, so that helped. But they just said, do what you can. And if you have to leave, you have to leave. We'll figure it out, sort of thing. And yeah, we toughed it out for about a month of like some pretty serious, like we didn't see violence exactly where we were, but they were blockading the road. So the Trans-Americana highway had been blocked. And so all these transfer trucks were blocked up, and then the grocery stores were emptying and people were lined up for miles for gas. And, all these things were starting to happen.
Like
and we'd heard
stuff you don't
violence.
want to be part of.
Yeah, we'd heard of the violence, and I kept saying, until we see violence, we don't need to leave. But then, yeah, exactly. All this other stuff started happening. I was like, do we really want to see violence?
Yeah.
and
I'm not that interested in the violence.
No, and I realized that, the country doesn't need 2 more mouths to feed in this kind of situation. So
exactly.
So we booked it back down to Costa Rica. And that was pretty significant because when we had originally arrived in Costa Rica, we came like 2 weeks before our house sit, and we stayed at this hostel in Samara. And Chris was tattooing actually one of his staff members one evening, and he came in and he said, "Oh, you're artist?" He says, "Oh, can you paint me this? I want to paint a mural on this piece of wood," and all the stuff of parrots in the jungle. And at the time, we didn't have the time. We said, "Oh, we got to go house sitting. We don't have time." So after this Nicaragua thing happened, we ended up back at that hostel, and the owner recognized us right away. And I said, "Do you still need that thing painted?" He goes, "Yes."
Nice.
And so we had never painted a huge thing like that before. I mean, I had done a bit of painting. I was a house painter, and I'd done a little bit of artistic painting and fooling around. Chris is a tattoo artist, and he can draw and do stuff in ink, brilliantly. But he'd never really used a brush to do anything other than house painting also.
Right.
And so anyways, I said to the guy, I said, yeah, we can do it. He says, how long do you think it'll take? And he showed us a picture. How long do you think it'll take? I said, oh, I don't know, about 10 days. He goes, okay. And Chris got mad. Like, I didn't realize it, but we went back to the room and he's just like, what are you doing? This is insane. We don't know how to paint. And I was like, whatever. Like, if he doesn't like it, we'll pay for our room and paint it white, like whatever.
That's great. Such a great attitude. I love it. Just do it. We'll figure it out after.
So yeah, so we went for it. And yeah, I told him 10 days. So that was the exchange for accommodation. So we were getting free accommodation for 10 days. It took us like 20 days, I think, to finish this thing, which we paid for 10 and we got 10 free. But it was fine. It was an opportunity to try it out and see if it worked, and of course there was struggles and we argued and we went back and forth, but we did it. And then after that we were there for about 5 weeks, and actually most of the hostel where we were staying was full of people who had fled Nicaragua. So we were all sort of like suffering from this like post-traumatic stress disorder and getting over this experience. And we met a really good friend that we are still in touch with today. We actually went to visit him in Germany last year, and he's come to visit us in various locations where we've traveled as well. And that was the time that we met. So we always reflect on that crazy time.
Nice.
But yeah, so then we went up to Guatemala and we rented a house in Flores, Guatemala, near Tikal, and we found a restaurant there and offered them to ask them if they wanted us to do any artwork in exchange for just a meal a day kind of thing. And they said sure, because we kind of knew at that point if we're going to do this, we have to get some practice under our belts.
Nice. Well, you had one piece for your portfolio already, right? So you can just show that we did this. This is great.
Exactly. Yeah, nice. And it was kind of funny. We kind of got our egos boosted one day. So there was two people that owned it. It was like a couple that owned it, and we had been dealing with the female side of the couple, and she told us what she wanted in the concept. And the male side, they weren't really together anymore, but they were still on the business together, and he was out of town. And so we were painting for like probably a week at this point, and we kept hearing that this guy's coming back,
Boy.
Like, oh, I hope he likes it. We're kind of stressing out about whether he's going to like it or not. And anyways, we stumbled into him one morning. He was coming out of the door, and I said, oh, we're just going upstairs to paint. He goes, oh, are you guys those artists? It's so nice to have real artists here for once. Just like, yeah, that's us. Yeah, it was great.
You've got your giant portfolio behind you. I love that.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So how do you decide where you're going to go next? I mean, it sounds like you bounced around a little bit sort of from fatefully, but there's also, I'm assuming you have a plan, like where you want to go and what you want to do?
Not necessarily. I mean, when we're in a certain area, we look for opportunities within that area. Like if we're in Europe, we're focusing on Europe or Africa or, but yeah, we don't really. I mean, we sort of put out feelers. Well, these days we do a lot of volunteering in exchange for accommodation and food. So we put out feelers to various organizations that might be looking for volunteers. That's through a platform called HelpX. If anyone's curious, and we're doing that actually right now in Canada. We're at a resort on Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia, and we're painting signs. So we're doing a little bit of art in exchange for food.
Oh, I've always wanted to go out east. I've never been. I hear it's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so we sort of put feelers out. We wait for sort of house sitting opportunities that might pop up. Yeah, we try not to plan too far in advance.
So you use house carers? Is that the platform of choice? You find better.
House carers is for house sitting. Yeah. We tried trusted house sitters, but the membership fee was more expensive, and we found that there was a lot more people competing for the house sits, so it was harder to get the gigs. Whereas house carers there's not as many there, but when you do apply for one, you're like one or two or three people that are applying, sort of thing.
Oh, cool. So it sounds like so if somebody wanted to get into this, that would probably be a better place to start, because it sounds like it's easier to get gigs on there. Yeah,
I think so. We really have enjoyed it. So yeah, and then HelpX. So we tried Workaway for just like a month, and yes, then somebody recommended HelpX, and HelpX is like $30 for a 2-year membership, and
wow, that's nothing.
They're volunteering all over the world. So
nice. So this one just happened to be in Canada? Like, were you doing HelpX's elsewhere in the world?
Yeah, we've done it in Bulgaria, and then with our mural painting, quite often I'll send emails. Like, we'll arrive in a country, and I'll send a bunch of emails out to hostels and just say, "This is what we do. Are you interested in us painting murals in exchange for accommodation?"
Wow. How many murals have you got to your name now? How far along are you?
Boy, Chris has the stats. I think like 27 or something.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool.
It's like
So,
before you started traveling, did you ever think you would be out there traveling the world, putting murals on buildings?
I didn't. Well, okay. It's something that I thought would be cool to do because
Right.
I'd been traveling in my youth and seen hostels with cool artwork.
Hmm.
And I thought in my mind at that time it would be really cool to do something like that. But no, I don't think I ever envisioned myself actually doing it. So,
Right.
yeah.
So that's very cool. So you went from, so you were in Guatemala, and then how did you end up in Europe? Like when did you make the leap across the Atlantic?
Okay, so Guatemala led us to, well, my parents actually, so my mom's birthday was in the Caribbean in 2019, February 2019. And so we actually left, like we went to go there to be with her for her birthday, but we left a suitcase of stuff in Guatemala because we didn't want to cart all our crap to the Caribbean. But then once we got to the Caribbean, we got a house sitting opportunity on the island of Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't turn out to just be a house sit. It turned out to be volunteering at her botanical garden,
Wow.
which turned into a 6-month gig.
6-month gig.
Yeah. And we got housing, food, and a allowance of $500 allowance.
Wow, that makes me that
yeah.
begs a question about visas, though. I mean, did you guys ever need to get a visa to do any work? Because you worked in some of these places, and I'm assuming some of these countries have work requirements,
right?
Or
technically, no. We've always been tourists. Yeah.
Mum's the word. I'm not saying anything.
Now the whole world knows. No, but mostly we try not to do anything illegal.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. But yeah, she just gave us a $500 cash a month, and then we got all our expenses covered. She had a truck for us.
6 months. So you had to go back and get your stuff in Guatemala after you left.
That was a problem. Yeah. So, and then I was planning, it was my parents' 50th wedding anniversary in December of 2019. So we were planning to go back to Canada because I wanted to throw them a surprise party. And so, we had to go, after that was done, we had to go back to Guatemala, get our stuff, and then we flew back to Canada. And we were in Canada for 4 months at the end of 2019. January of 2020, we flew to Morocco.
Nice.
And
how'd you decide on Morocco? What made you decide, hey, we're going there?
Yeah, that's an interesting story because we actually, our plan was to come back down because originally when we left Canada, we wanted to get to down into South America, and we never made it. And so the plan was we're going to go fly back down to Mexico City. We both really want to see Mexico City, and then continue south by land as much as possible, and then get down to South America,
right, and
revisit all of our friends and all these things. But then we had a friend while we were in my hometown is in Alberta. We were visiting my parents in Canmore. And a friend from the coast happened to be driving through, and he came and stayed with us. And he says, I'm planning a trip to Morocco in January. Would you guys be interested? And we just kind of looked at each other and went, Morocco? Wow, I never thought about going there. Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Nice.
That sounds cool.
I love the way you guys do things. It's great.
Yeah. Just follow the signs. So anyways, we all know what happened in 2020. So we ended up
you were stuck in Morocco?
Yeah.
No, oh, wow.
Yeah.
How was that?
So it turned out okay. So we went there with our friend, and he had another friend from Calgary that joined us. And so for the first, 3 weeks, we'd sort of rented a car, and we were driving around Morocco with them. And he had been to Morocco before, so he had some local friends, and we were visiting them. And we went out to the Sahara Desert and did sort of all the touristy things. And then we went back to Chefchaouen, which is kind of where we had started. And when we had gone there the first time, we sort of met with the owner and told him, we also painted another mural in Nevis as well. So we were starting to build a little bit of a portfolio here. But yeah, we met one of the owners of one of the riads, and we said, we paint art in exchange for accommodation. Would you be interested? He says, yes, absolutely. When you come back, let me know. So we went back, and we ended up being in Chefchaouen for 5 weeks. And the day we left Chefchaouen was when buses were still running. They were talking about closing roads. Restaurants had closed. But the craziest thing about it is we didn't know what was going on. I mean, we had heard that there was a virus, but we weren't giving it, like, we had sort of sworn off the news.
Oh, wow.
And we're in a place where all the news is in Arabic anyways, right? So you'd see it on TV.
You just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, but we weren't paying attention. We had no idea. And so all of a sudden, like restaurants closed and all this craziness was happening. But it was the day that we were leaving. And actually our German friend that we had met after the civil war in Nicaragua was visiting us in Morocco when this all went down. So we're starting to think like, what's going on here? Anyway, so we all left on the bus from Chefchaouen to head down to a place called Tingrir, which is closer to Marrakesh. And yeah, on the way down there, I mean, the locals were avoiding us on the bus. They were like covering their faces and everybody was scared of us. And we were just like, what is going on here? And we had to stop in Fez for a night and we went into a hostel there. And the owner finally said, it's this crazy virus. Like they're closing all the restaurants and everyone's going crazy. And then we started to look online and see like, what is going on? And that night, the headline flashed across my screen, Canada has closed its borders. And I'm like, what? Like, I think like my entire body just melted onto the floor. I was like,
no.
What is going on? Like, I just had this, like the black flag, like the whole world.
It was nuts, right? It was totally nuts.
So anyways, we continued on the next day, and then literally our buddy, our German buddy, I think the next morning caught a flight. His flight had gotten canceled. In the meantime, his flight back to Spain had been canceled. And so he was on the phone with the German embassy and trying to figure out like how he was going to get home. And I think like he spent one night with us in Tingrir, and then the very next morning he took off to Marrakesh, and him and two other German guys slept at the airport for like 3 nights waiting for the final German flight to leave that they got back to Germany on.
My God.
And we stayed, and then they shut the highways down. So yeah, it was crazy. We were kind of like stuck. Well, we had gone to this hostel to paint murals. So this was another thing. Like he'd seen our stuff on Instagram and said, can you come paint murals for me? And he was renovating his hostel. So he had it closed, which we were grateful for because there was nobody else there. It was just him and us. Which was okay. I mean, he turned out to be a bit of a crazy alcoholic, but it was okay. We didn't have to deal with too many.
Well, at least you had a place to be, because it's like you're kind of like stuck, right? If you can't go back to Canada.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. So yeah, we just we just painted murals. We almost painted every single wall in his hostel in 2 months. We just kept going and going and going.
That's a nice thing to do while you're stuck, while you're under quarantine.
If I didn't have my creativity to do, to take my mind off of things, I think I probably would have gone crazy. Because my mind.
So how long did you end up being stuck there?
So we were like locked down in place with the highways closed for 2.5 months.
Wow.
And we did have curfews, and our host was a little bit, I mean, he was a rebel. Like he was always getting in trouble with police and all these things. And so, he kept saying, you guys can go outside. It's fine. You're Canadians. You can do whatever you want, and we were just like, no, we're good. We're just like, I just had these visions of like the police rounding up all the foreigners and taking us off.
Yeah. You don't want that. Anything could happen.
I'm like, no, we're happy inside. And he had a really nice rooftop patio. So we would just go up there and hang out in the sun and whatever. So, and then over time, it started things got, we were supposed to be working in exchange for food and accommodation. But then as things shifted, we started paying and giving him money, and he'd go to the market and buy things and bring it back and we'd cook. But yeah, no, it turned out to be okay. And then behind us was a massive public garden space. And so there was a ton of food being grown, and there was we had fresh well water. So I was just like, okay, we have water, food, and shelter. We're good.
You're all set. You're good. You'll be good for a while.
Yeah. So that ended. Finally, they lifted the highway. There was no transport on the highway. So they lifted that, and we went out to the Sahara Desert. So our friend that had taken us to Morocco originally had a friend in the Sahara, and we had seen him in January, but we went back to visit him, and we ended up staying with him for 5 weeks in July in the Sahara Desert. It was 45 degrees every day.
Oh my God.
38 at night.
Yikes. But it's a dry heat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter. There wasn't a lot getting accomplished, but we ended up painting him a mural and did some stuff for him and hung out with him for a little while. And then we decided we wanted to see the coast. So by the time we were finished with him, the government had said, okay, foreigners can leave now, get the hell out. We've all overstayed our visas and this kind of thing. And we actually did book a flight to Paris, and then 5 days later it got canceled. So, it was a very uncertain time. There was nothing solid.
Oh, for sure. I remember it very well.
Yeah. So we decided we were done with the desert and we wanted to see the coast. So we went out to Essaouira, and we ended up we had met when we were in Chefchaouen in the north, we had met this young Moroccan man, and he said, if you ever get, if you go somewhere interesting, let me know, and maybe we can rent a place together or something. And so we contacted him, and he was very interested in that area, and he said, yeah, for sure, let's do it. And so we rented this beautiful little apartment that was owned by a couple of British guys, I guess, but it was only like, I think $200 a month or $250 a month or something like that, and right in the Riyadh.
It's amazing how inexpensive things are overseas, right? I mean, that's the one thing that you forget when you're here is that everything's cheap. Almost everything's cheap.
I don't forget it. We're here in Canada and it pisses me off.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I mean, except some places in Europe are obviously more expensive, but almost everywhere else, things are cheaper, right?
Yeah,
so your money definitely goes much farther than it does in North America for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and when we're out in the world, most places, we're making enough money online to sustain us month to month. But yes, back in Canada, it's not near enough. I mean, my monthly.
So that's what I wanted to ask you. So after, like, is that how you fund your travels? Is through the murals and through house sitting and through your online business?
Yeah, I mean, we don't get paid for any of that. That's all volunteer stuff. But I make money through Medium. I'm writing on Medium. I'm also a Boost nominator. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what's going on over there, but there's
Boost nominator.
Boost nominator.
Never heard of it. What is that?
So I have two publications on Medium, and I mean, there's numerous publications, and anyone can start them. So it sounds fancier than it is. But basically, when AI started to make its appearance on the platform, they started to realize that they couldn't just rely on the algorithm to promote the stories that were making money, because AI could be writing the story and then these people are making money without even putting the effort in.
It's happening all over Spotify right now as we speak.
Right. Yeah. So they decided to make it a human run platform. So now publication owners, when you apply for this, if they approve you as like a credible editor or whatever, they ask you to, if a story comes in that you think deserves recognition, you can nominate it for a boost. And so then those are the stories that get lifted up in the algorithm, and they're the ones that will make more money. When I nominate a story and if it gets accepted, I get money from Medium.
Nice.
Up to 20 stories limit. So, but yeah, it enables me to make almost $1,000 a month just doing that in US dollars as well. So, and then plus if I'm writing and I'm on a writing streak, I can make another, 500.
Is Medium decent now? Because all I ever hear on Substack is people bitching about Medium and how it hardly ever pays out.
Last January, they definitely, our earnings dropped by about 80% overnight.
What?
Like our writing earnings. Yeah.
That's terrible.
And they keep saying, well, nothing changed. And all of us are like, well, something did. So it's frustrating, but if you can get your articles boosted, then you still can make some money on there. But it is getting harder and harder every day, it seems like, for sure. Yeah. So that's frustrating. But so there's that. And then my Etsy shops, we make a little bit of money here and there on like Ko-Fi. I tried to start a Patreon. Are you familiar with Patreon?
Yeah. I've tried all of these things.
Yeah, just trying it all. Yeah. I mean, I was doing okay with it, but something about that platform I just didn't agree with. Like, I just felt it was awkward to post on it.
Yeah. There's some tools like that. Like, for example, Beehive. Right? I don't know if you've tried Beehive, but it's an email marketing, and it's just so the interface is just so awkward and difficult. I thought this is terrible. So then I moved to ConvertKit. I tried that. And then I saw Substack and I thought, wow, this is way easier than that. So every time I switched platforms, it just got easier and easier and easier. And of course, Substack doesn't charge you anything, which is the best part about it. But of course, the business model still remains to be seen. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to get those coveted subscribers that pay, but
I know, right?
Here we are.
And they should be helping us do that because it helps them too.
That's right. Well, and it's kind of funny because I feel like now that we've, I follow some people who, Corey Vinny for one, he did an interview with me a while back, but he's just starting out on his sailing journey and he's super excited and he's going for it. And I was the same way, but now I feel like I'm just like old washed up nomad. Like, what do I have to say now? Like, who cares what I'm doing?
I want to hear from you. Come on. You're not a old one.
Yeah.
But you've been doing this for what? You said 8 years now. So
8 years, yeah.
So that's great. So then when you were in Morocco, is that when you decided to do your like European Odyssey from that point? Is that?
No, not quite. So, so from Morocco, I mean, we ended up, there for another about 3 months in Essaouira. And then we thought, okay, we can't stay here forever, obviously. And we had heard rumors that the government was starting to crack down on, if people had overstayed like a really long time, they were starting to get
It's
antsy
not
about it.
no
So,
fault of yours, though. You tried to leave. You
that's
tried to
right.
leave.
That's right. Whether or not we could convince them of that, I don't know. But anyways, we finally decided we better go. And so the only option, the best option we had was to fly to Istanbul, because we knew from Istanbul we could get anywhere in the world basically.
Right.
And we'd never been to Turkey or anything like that. And so we ended up flying to Istanbul, and I mean, neither of us are city people. We both grew up in small towns. And so we thought, oh, we'll just be in the city for like 4 days or something, and then we need to get the heck out, And we were a little bit daunted by it, but we got there and we absolutely fell in love with it. And looking back, I mean, there was barely any tourists. Like, we're some of the only few tourists.
It's probably one of the best times to be there.
It was awesome. I mean, we'd go to the Grand Bazaar. The hallways were empty. It was like we owned the city.
Wow.
It was so great.
I love it.
But we didn't take advantage of all the scenarios that we should have. Like, we didn't go down to see the cistern. Well, they ended up closing it while we were there, so we missed out on that. And there's a few things that we didn't go see, which we have been back since and seen the crowds, and now we kicked ourselves. But what do you do? Anyways, we ended up staying in
Everywhere
Istanbul.
is like that now. It's insane how crowded everything is.
Yeah, post-COVID got nuts for sure. So anyways, we got a gig in a hostel there, and we just fell in love with, well, we didn't realize how long it had been since we talked to people from other countries. In Morocco, it was just us basically, and then Moroccans. And that was like the only exchanges we really had for quite a while. And so we got to this hostel in Istanbul, and there's just people from every corner of the world, and we just would sit for hours and just talk to people, and we just had so much fun. We stayed in the hostel for 2.5 months in Istanbul. We didn't go anywhere.
We're just going to spend 4 days here.
Yeah. And we painted murals for them. So we did 4 different murals in that hostel over 2.5 months. And then finally, our Turkish visa was running out, and we just kind of went like, we got to go somewhere. And Bulgaria was one option, but because we had been to Bulgaria before and loved it.
Yeah, you've been there, done that though. So it's time to go somewhere else, right?
Yeah. But we found a $49 flight to Egypt.
Nice.
So we thought, okay, we're going to Egypt. And we got to Egypt. We flew into Hurghada and made our way down to Aswan. We had a mural job down there, and so we were. Well,
you guys are famous for murals now.
They've carried us around for sure.
Nice.
And so we were down there painting murals in Aswan, and we were some of the only tourists in the country, and so we just had a horrible time in Egypt because they just hounded us. I mean, we couldn't step foot outside the door without a cloud of people chasing after us, trying to sell us something. So we got really fed up after only like 3 weeks, and we really didn't want to go up to Cairo because we knew that was probably going to be worse. So we didn't even see the pyramids, like crazy. But our best route of escape was south to Sudan. So we took a bus. Way. Yeah, we took a bus from Egypt to Sudan. This was before the last coup. So we lucked out. We got into the country when it had like a couple years of democracy, basically.
Are you chasing the revolutions here in Nicaragua?
I guess. I don't know. We don't like to be part of that, but I don't know. And we had a great time. We spent 3 months in Sudan. We ended up renting an apartment out in Port Sudan, which is on the Red Sea. And that was like $115 a month, I think, for a fully furnished apartment with fridge, kitchen, everything. Yeah. And then there we started YouTube. So actually we started doing a YouTube vlog. Well, we kind of started it in Istanbul a little bit, but we got serious about it in Sudan because it was such a unique place. And every week we did a vlog, and we were actually gaining quite the crowd. And I was thinking, okay, we can do this. We can make money on YouTube, And then we left Sudan. Like we could only stay there for 3 months. And so then we wanted to travel by land south, but absolutely everybody we talked to, the Sudanese included, said, no, do not cross those borders because there's conflicts. And they just said, they're just going to think you're spies, or, they pull you off the bus. They ask questions later, this kind of thing. Yeah, it was just like, forget it. So we flew to Uganda. And we had been in the desert, like between Morocco and Egypt. We'd been in the desert for such a long time that we were like excited to see plants and greenery. So we looked on the map, and Uganda looked really green. So we thought, let's go to Uganda. So we went, and then,
I really do love the way you guys pick places to go. It's the
I
best.
told you, we don't really plan. So we went to Uganda and I emailed, like did the email thing about painting murals, and this organization who actually owns multiple like small scale hotels at the gates of national parks. Like basically their mandate is to train the locals in tourism and bring new industry to these
Oh,
small suffering
nice. I
communities
like
that are
that.
outside of national parks. Yeah. And so they sent us up into the Rwenzori Mountains, which is there's glaciers in Uganda at the equator, if you can believe it.
No way.
And so we went up into these mountains for a little bit, and then we went down into the Serengeti. We went to another hotel, painted some murals down there. There we had sort of a life-changing experience. We actually, because tourists stopped so suddenly, a lot of people lost their main source of income, of course. And then the government had instituted this like travel, not a lockdown, but like usually, there'll be like 4 people riding on a motorbike. They were saying you're only allowed 2, or like on the bus, people had to like space out or socially distance so that not as many people could get on the buses. So,
right.
so we were in this village that's quite far from any local major center, and suddenly they couldn't get food. They had no income. All of their crops were dying. We were there for a month watching their entire cornfields just die from a drought.
Wow.
So there was just like all this terrible stuff happening. And so all of a sudden one day our host had been in the village and he came back and he was just shaking his head. And I said, what's going on? And he's just like, people are starving. Like they can't even get out of bed. They're so tired and hungry. And I just thought like, well, like we got to do something,
Yeah.
And it was just like, there was only like 250 houses in this village. So it was really small. And I said to him, do you have any idea like what we would need to do or what they need for food? And he said, yeah. He said, when COVID first started, their organization had provided the village with food for a week to kind of get them through the initial stages. And so he had numbers and he knew what they needed. And so I said to Chris, I said, we have to try something, we can't just, we either leave, we can't just sit here and watch people starve. Like we either do something or we leave. And I don't know if I could live with myself if we did that. So I ended up going on Facebook with just sort of a video, like, there's people that are really hungry. We're going to try to get them some food. If you can send $5, I'd be super grateful, this kind of thing. And because of Canada has e-transfers, so all of our banks are kind of linked through the government. And so you can like email money to people right away. And I basically woke up to $3,000 in my bank account the next morning.
Wow. Fantastic.
All my contacts.
I love
So
it.
yeah, so we started that. We did that. I also started a GoFundMe for other people, and we ended up bringing them food for 12 weeks altogether.
Oh,
And,
amazing.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was cool.
You saved the village.
I mean,
It's like
I guess
how fate puts you in that spot. It's incredible.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. And it's like, yeah, it's nothing that you could ever plan for or prepare for or think you're going to have to do. You just sort of go for it. And we also decided to do like, we're gardeners and permaculturists. So we sort of started teaching them how to build soil as well, because a lot of the soils in Africa are nutrient depleted, which is, it's not, the problem with the starvation is it's not necessarily people don't have access to food. It's that the food they're growing doesn't have nutrients in it.
Yep.
So a tomato looks like a tomato, but it has no nutrients.
Yep.
And Chris and I we were eating, we thought enough food. It felt like we were eating enough food, but like we were going to bed hungry quite often. We ended up losing a lot of weight while we were there, just because there was no nutrients. Yeah. So anyways, we ended up staying in and around that village for 7 months the first time, I believe.
Wow.
Yep.
You don't do things by half measures. You're just like, oof.
It turned out to be kind of crazy. And then we got a house sitting job in Botswana. And so we decided that we wanted to get down to Botswana by land, which on the map, it doesn't look very far. It was like, we can do that. That's not a big deal.
Sure, yeah. See how it's very short.
Oh man, I think that was like 12 days of solid traveling from
Holy cow.
It was nuts. We were exhausted. By the time we got down there, we were barely standing. And actually we arrived because it was such an ordeal. Our house sit started at, 10 a.m. that people were leaving. We arrived that morning at 6 a.m. That's how close it was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. So so then we house sat in Botswana for 5 weeks, and then we traveled back up by land to Uganda. We had promised them we were going to come back and check in on them and see how they were doing, and we did. And then we ended up staying in Uganda for another 5 months, I think. And we were in that village for a little while, and then we went to another place in the country and painted murals and hung out there as well. So yeah.
Well, so we're getting, unfortunately, we're getting close to the end of our show, and I'm like, I didn't have a chance to ask any of my questions. So do you think we could spend a few minutes?
Yeah. Oh, I'm good.
So we talked a bit. We talked a bit about. No, I want to keep going. Maybe we can do another one because
Okay.
I want to hear the rest of your story.
Part
But
two.
so you talked about So you're funding your travels through. So you had your money from your house. Is that all gone, or do you still have some of that money
No,
left?
that's definitely gone. That
And
was gone in the first year,
right.
probably.
And now you're funding your travels from your online sales and the murals and well, I mean, I guess you don't spend money when you're volunteering, right? I mean, because they'll
Exactly.
give you room and board and things like that.
Yeah, that's really the major like for us, that is like the secret answer to this lifestyle is finding ways to get free accommodation and food if possible. And yeah, finding ways to do that. So volunteering is certainly one of those ways, painting murals, house sitting, all those kinds of things.
Right, doing the work and so what about healthcare? Have you ever had any issues getting healthcare when you were out? Like, did anything serious happen that caused a
Well, when we were
problem?
in Uganda, I had a skewer stick jabbed through my foot.
Oh
I had to
no!
get a tetanus shot.
Ouch!
I mean, we've had nothing major. That was probably the biggest thing that really has happened to us. But well, Chris got a dog bite in Belgium. He had to go get a tetanus shot for that too. But every time we need to get something, it's it's maybe a $20 fee at the doctor's office or something.
So do you pay for insurance at all, or do you just get local healthcare wherever you happen to be?
Yeah, we just pay for it wherever we have to be.
Wow, and
So
it hasn't
yeah.
been it's been cheap, right? I mean, imagine, especially in the States, I don't know, in Canada it's free, but
Mhm.
here, we spend tens of thousands a year for health
Yeah.
insurance, and you don't have to spend anything. You just spend
No.
what as you need it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's a risk, people are like, what if you need to be airlifted or whatever? And we just don't think that way. We just
Well,
go
faith
with
has
the
been really good to you so far, so
so
why
far.
not, right? Just
Yeah, knock on wood.
so, and you don't have any pets. You don't travel with any pets or anything like that.
No, we had
Okay,
two cats that we left in Canada. Unfortunately, that was a really hard thing to let go of for sure. But the house sitting feeds our needs for fluffy animals, so that's good.
nice.
Yeah.
And for your online businesses, do you ever have issues with Wi-Fi and getting online and stuff like that? Have you ever had
Yeah,
those type of trouble? That type of trouble?
for sure. In Uganda, actually, the whole reason our YouTube didn't continue was because we had to do it through data and the data costs were just too high. And yeah, it was too difficult. So we sort of quit doing it there and haven't really picked it up again. We did a few videos in Botswana, but we haven't gotten back into it the way we did in Sudan for sure. So
Yeah, because
yeah.
there's plenty of places in the world where you just don't have the bandwidth to do it. They're like, there's
Yeah.
no way. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's just difficult. Yeah.
because it
Mhm.
gets ridiculously expensive.
Yes. Yep.
Wow. And then, so if you were to say to somebody who was thinking about getting into this life, like what would be your advice, your best advice that you'd give to somebody who was thinking about getting into it?
I mean, the thing that I think I sort of avoided something right at the beginning. I got onto a platform where it was designed for digital nomads, and we didn't leave thinking we're going to be digital nomads. It wasn't until we got out and we realized, oh, this is what we are now, and there was a
Right.
label for it, and we were kind of excited that there was a label for it. And so I kind of got roped into that world a little bit, and then realized quite quickly that it was just another extension of the rat race, and I didn't really want to
Mm,
do with that. So I think my advice would be stick to doing the things that you love. Like, with our volunteering, we're always doing something that we enjoy. Like right now we're painting signs and we like doing that and we're artists and, it all works together, and just do stuff that you love, focus on what you love and just find ways to make that work.
mm. Would you
Yeah.
say you're an extrovert?
Uh, not as much as I used to be.
So
We're a
wait a
lot
minute, wait a
happier.
minute. This life is supposed to make you more extroverted, not less, right? No?
I mean, digital nomads come in all shapes and sizes, but
That's true.
we definitely go through phases. Like, I mean, we're always together, obviously, but there'll be times where we're just sick of people, and that's when house sits come in nice, because it's like all you got to do is deal with the pet, and we can just have time to ourselves. When we want to talk to people and hang out, we'll go find a hostel and we'll go hang out there. So we find ways to like be social when we feel like it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. But so it's actually made you more introverted, would you say?
In a sense, yeah. Like we definitely seek out remote places and try to find ways to get away from people more now these days, for sure.
It's us against the world. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about, but anyway. Maybe we have to explain our story less when there's less people around. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. So where are you off to next? I mean, you're in Canada now, but do you have any plans on where you're going to go next, or are you going to let fate determine that as well?
Well, unfortunately, fate determined that we're not leaving Canada this winter, this year already.
Oh,
We
okay.
uh, we had plans to go to Europe, but we also so last summer we volunteered at this past summer we volunteered at a place in Golden, BC, which is really close to where my parents live. My parents through COVID aged very quickly, and
Mm,
I'm an only child, and so I suddenly realized I can't just be gone for 2 and 3 years at a time anymore.
yeah.
I should kind of stick close. So we're sort of trying to do like 6 months of travel, 6 months in Canada. This summer we worked at a farm and we really liked it, so we committed to going back there next summer in April, starting in April for the whole summer. So we kind of decided that well, we're here now, and like three or 4 months of traveling wasn't gonna be enough. But we did have a house that lined up in Spain this winter, and we canceled it. So yeah,
Oh, well,
but we also
there's places in Canada to see. I mean, have you seen all of Canada?
not all of it, but we're working on it for sure. I mean, we landed in Vancouver in March, and now we're on the east coast of Canada. So, and we traveled across Canada by train this year,
Oh
all
yeah?
across
How was
by
that?
land.
I hear
Yeah.
that's beautiful. That's
It
fantastic.
was, yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, this has given us amazing opportunities to explore Canada, and being able to, yeah, volunteer and get our accommodation and food paid for means that we don't have to like set up a home base. We don't have to, get a job or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's allowing us to see all these cool places that we've never been to before. I've
So
actually been to Cape Breton before, but Chris never had. So
nice. So HelpX, is that the one that gets you the volunteer opportunities?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
Halifax.
And that's where you've been getting all of them, or are there other platforms that you use too?
No, all through Helpex so far, but we just found out about World Packers, which looks like a really good one as well, and we're probably going to look into that also. But yeah, it's all through Helpex, and there's tons of opportunities. So yeah.
Is it hard to do that? Like if I decided I wanted to go to like find one in some country, just sign up for it, and then the chances of getting it are pretty high, or do you go through a
Yeah.
vetting process, or how does that work?
I mean, always to get your first gig and get your first review is, a little bit of extra legwork. I mean, now we have a website and we have, social media and all these things that we can just say, check us out on these platforms, and they can
Right.
sort of
You
learn
get
more
some
about us.
cred. You get some
Yeah.
cred.
Yeah, but we built that up. But in the beginning, I think really what was super important was just to have a very clear and well-written profile, and really, list all of your skills, list, anything that you're good at, what you're willing to contribute, your thoughts on life, all these things, right? Like really try to like help people get to know you through your profile.
Right.
Mhm.
And the more skills you have, of course, the better.
Of
Right.
course. Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of those what color is your parachute? It's like here's the 100 things I can do, and you can use any of these things that you might be able to use where you are.
Right, right. But it's amazing how many people we've met that are doing things that I never would have thought of. I mean, we've seen volunteers in hostels that post on Instagram for the hostel, or like
Wow.
people who work at the front desk, or like you can clean rooms if you want, or do dishes, or
Oh yeah, I mean all these hostels are like little hotels, right? So they need all of that, cleaning
yeah,
and
yeah.
social media and all of that stuff. So
Yeah, and not all hostels are just dorm rooms. This is the other
No.
myth I want to debunk, because people think we're all sleeping in like bunk beds, and it's like, no, we usually have a private
wait a
room.
minute, it's not like that? Oh man.
Not all of them, no. Yeah.
Well, do you find the accommodations in is there any particular continent that you enjoy being in more than any other?
Oh boy. I mean, I would say Africa is fascinating. It's life changing. I mean, we had a significant experience, but it's just so many people you talk to, they're like, there's just such a magic about that continent, and we'd love to see more of it for sure.
Yeah, the last person I talked to, she was from New Zealand, and she just like always was just drawn back to Africa. And you're not the only one who's been talking about that and saying
Yeah.
how awesome it was. So it's
Yeah.
an interesting place,
Yes.
full
Yeah.
of
We
many
really loved it.
contradictions.
Yeah. The one drawback with Africa is you're definitely never a local. Like you're a foreigner, very
Right.
clearly a foreigner. So
There's no
that
way to
gets
blend
old.
in like you would say in Germany or anything like that, right?
Eastern Europe specifically was my next thing I was going to say. We did get back to Bulgaria eventually, and we've really fallen in love with Eastern Europe in general. So and it was a nice place to blend in. Yes.
Oh yeah, so that's the other thing I wanted to ask you is that what about the language? I mean, do you learn the local languages, or I mean, do you just speak English, or how does that work?
So I knew Spanish before we went to Central America. My ex-husband and I had lived in Nicaragua for 4 months one year, and we did a Spanish immersion program where we lived with a family for 2 weeks and went to school
Oh, nice.
and all that.
So your Spanish is good.
I have decent Spanish. Chris taught himself Spanish on Duolingo when we were there, and then
It works.
Yeah, and then he
Nice.
also taught himself Arabic in Morocco when we were locked down.
Wow, that's
Reading and
impressive.
writing.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, and he also like he picks up. He's really good. I mean, this is something he didn't even know before he traveled, but he's really good with languages. So he's also picked up a bunch of Bulgarian, some Turkish, little pieces of whatever. You know, when we were in North
Wow.
Macedonia, he knew what to say, but that was also similar to Bulgarian. So
And I hear
yeah.
Turkish is really hard.
Yeah, I think so. Spanish is about my limit, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
So our website is www.artisticvoyages.com, and we're on Instagram and Facebook. We have a YouTube channel, and yeah, you can find me through any of those platforms. And yeah, on Medium and on Substack also. So
Fantastic. And
Yeah.
we have to do another one because you've got so much more to talk about. Because
Right.
I can't wait for the rest of this story. It sounds amazing.
continue.
And I just love the way you guys travel. It's like I
Aw.
wish everyone could travel like that.
Thank you so much. Well, these days it's not quite as free as it used to be, but it still is a little bit anyways. But yeah, Canada weighs on us. We're not as happy when we're in Canada, unfortunately, but that's okay. We try to make the best of it.
Yeah, well, you still to get a little out of the country a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And you'll get back to it again. So that's
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Next summer, that's our main goal. Get back out.
good. Nice. All right. Well, thank you so much. This has been
Thank
great.
you, Chris.
Talk to
Okay.
you later.
Have a great night. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive, I thrive. Oh, I thrive.